Good morning, everyone. I'm Jane Castor, Chief of Police with the City of Tampa. Yesterday, the Tampa Police Department received information around noon that there was an individual that had intentions of exploding some devices at Freedom High School on the first day of school next week. The Tampa Police Department, in cooperation with the Hillsborough County School Systems, started to investigate this information and found that it was very, very credible. They put a name to the information, which was an individual, 17-year-old white male by the name of Jared Cano, who has been a previous student at Freedom High School. They went out to his residence, were able to take him into custody. They received permission to search his room and his apartment, and they indeed found a manifesto written by Jared that outlined minute by minute what his actions were going to be on the first day of school, to include detonating explosive devices through the school. There were 2 individual faculty members that were specific targets, and then he also mentioned his desire to cause more casualties than were suffered at Columbine. We had officers found material in his room that could be used for making explosive devices. We called our bomb team in, the experts, and they in fact said that yes, the material that he had could be made into explosive devices and could cause serious injury up to and including death if they were to be detonated. And the material that they found included fuel sources, shrapnel, plastic tubing, timing, and fusing devices within his room. The individual, we did not find any firearms at that apartment yesterday, but Jared Cano has been arrested in the past for carrying a concealed firearm that was stolen in a burglary that he committed. So he does have an extensive criminal record that Major Newman will talk about in just 1 minute. But I do want to praise some of the individuals and groups that were involved in this investigation. One, the individual that came forth with information. That's what we need in this community, is to have the citizens involved in keeping this community safe. And that was a prime example of allowing us to avoid a very serious event yesterday. I also want to thank the Hillsborough County School System. They are our partners day in and day out, not only keeping our schools safe, but also keeping the city of Tampa and the residents safe as well. We have an amazing working relationship, and I can say that with TPD and Hillsborough County School Systems working in concert yesterday with a sense of urgency and investigating this very, very thoroughly, that we were probably able to thwart a potentially catastrophic event, the likes of which the city of Tampa has not seen and hopefully never will. So I want to thank them for their involvement as well. And I also want to praise the members of the Tampa Police Department, again, who acted very urgently, took this information seriously, and were able to see it through to taking this individual into custody and taking all of the material that he intended to use in this event next week to get that off of the streets as well. And now I will turn it over to Major Newman, and he will discuss the relationship that we have had, the police department has had with Jared Cano in the past. And just if you aren't familiar with the charges or you haven't been advised of the charges, he was charged yesterday with threatening to throw, project, place, or discharge a destructive device, possession of bomb-making materials, and also cultivation of marijuana in his room at his house, and possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia as well. Major Newman.
Good morning. Once we were able to identify Mr. Cano's whereabouts, where he lived, and what his relationship was to the new Tampa Freedom High School area, I notified the supervisor, Sergeant Pryor, who works out there, works very intimately with that neighborhood and particularly that school, and we verified through our RMS system that Mr. Cano had indeed been on our juvenile checklist at one point in '08 and '09. He had been arrested recently for a burglary in which a firearm was stolen, and he has some other charges involving B&Es of autos, possession of marijuana. He was on some sanctions that required us to do juvenile checks, which most of you know is considered one of our best practices, constantly going out and checking on our juveniles that may or may not have a sanction. So we've been very, very familiar with them. But then besides looking at the data set that we had available, talking to the street officers, particularly the sergeant that is assigned up in New Tampa, he was very familiar with Mr. Cano. He was actually there for several of the arrests, understood that he no longer had any dealings with Freedom High School. He was a former student. But that kind of information, that kind of intimacy, knowing the folks that are in your area that may or be causing problems was invaluable for us in this investigation.
Could you spell your name?
Sure, Newman, N-E-W-M-A-N.
Do you have a first name, sir?
I sure do. It's John.
J-O-H-N?
J-O-H-N, District 2.
And now Mr. Lewis Brinson from the Hillsborough County School Systems is going to come up and speak to the actions taken by the school system.
Good morning. My name is Lewis Brinson. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Administration. First, let me start by saying that I want to praise the relationship that we have with the City of Tampa Police Department and also the citizen for coming forward, because it's going to take an entire village to stop these kinds of situations from happening. And I just want to praise them for working with us in the past and look forward to the continued working relationship. It's unfortunate that we have a situation like this, but it's more fortunate that we stopped it. And we have to continue to work together to stop these events from happening. So what do we do now to recover? We send out a parent link to all of the parents at Freedom, letting them know about this incident, letting them know that if they have any questions or concern about anything that's going to happen next Tuesday when we start school, to contact the school. We're going to make sure that we do everything within our power to have our schools ready, not just Freedom, but all of our schools, and safe. And we ask for the cooperation of the community, the law enforcement agencies, and anyone to make sure that we continue to move in that direction. So at this particular point in time, that's what we're doing. The administrators are there, the teachers are getting ready, and we're planning on having a smooth and hopeful normal opening day on Tuesday. And in terms of other than the parent link, that's all we do at this point in time. Yes?
Can you explain what a parent link is?
A parent link is that it's an electronic messaging system that goes out to each parent that we program. In this particular case, it's only the parents of the students that attend Freedom High School.
What specifically did you tell the parents?
Basically, that we're working with TPD to make sure that our that the school is safe, and that if they have any issues or concerns about what's going to happen on the first day, to notify the school, and we will address that. Anything that we can do to relieve any tensions that they may have about coming to Freedom High School, we need to address them now, not on Tuesday. And one thing I tell you, that the best defense in terms of dealing with situations like this is to establish that line of communication with our students. I think it's important that they understand the importance of coming forward when there are situations like this, and build a relationship. And that's what we tell our teachers and principals each and every day. The first thing that you do is to build a relationship with the students that you teach, and it makes a big difference in keeping our schools safe.
Mr. Brinson, the chief has said that he was no longer a student there or hadn't been a student there for some time.
Right. It's been, the last time he was at Freedom, it's been over a year and a half.
He's 17, that's 15.
There were some issues at the school where he was given a change of placement, meaning that he was removed from Freedom High School.
Can you elaborate on the circumstances?
Not at this time.
Was he removed for an act of violence?
He was removed due to inappropriate behavior. And it was not necessarily on our campus. but we take actions if things happen off campus that may impact the school. And in this particular case, that's really what happened.
Would there be a need to have counselors on hand next week for the students?
We will monitor it to see if we have any students that may be in need of a counselor, but we have counselors at the school. If we need additional counseling, we have a crisis team that is ready to be mobilized. But at this particular point in time, we're just going to monitor the situation to see what happens and what resources we need to put at the school, additional resources we need to put at the school to make sure everything is normal.
Had he ever threatened the school before, either when he was removed or any time since then before this incident?
Not to my knowledge.
This may be more for Chief Castor. There's an unsung hero out there, if you can approach the mic, somebody who actually called police when he or she realized there's a legitimate threat. Was it a classmate, a friend, a neighbor, a relative? How did you hear about this?
We're not going to disclose the source of the information, but your description of that individual is correct. It's someone who had information that they felt strongly enough to call the Tampa Police Department and relay that information, and we were able to act on it quickly. So I
Had that
agree.
person seen this manifesto or seen the bomb-making materials?
I'm not going to discuss that portion of, because this individual is going to remain anonymous, but we've seen the manifesto and we saw the bomb-making material as well.
Can you describe the manifesto a little bit? How many pages? What types of things? Did you describe any groups or organizations? that you might have
Can't tell you exactly the number of pages, but I can describe it in that it had specific targets, who were two individuals at in the administration of Freedom High School. Those individuals are aware that they were listed as targets, and then also his intent to take the lives of approximately 30 students at Freedom High School on that morning. And it goes minute by minute what he intended to do, starting at 5 a.m. in the morning and then going through the day, where he intended to put these destructive devices and particular layouts of the school drawn, that type of information.
Did he say why? Did he say whether there was any inspiration, or did he mention any kind of group or organization he might have been?
No, I can tell you that there were no groups or organizations mentioned, but I won't go into the details of any reasoning that he may have had.
Is he a lone wolf? Is there any reason to believe there's other people involved in this, or is this...
No reason to believe that there's anyone else
Does
involved.
the family know anything about this? I mean, if he's got marijuana in his room and bomb-making materials, so much that...
There's no indication that his family was aware that he had that in his room.
What about
The family has been very cooperative.
What about his friends? Do we know probably maybe they have links also, like violent links, that they could probably be the next suspect?
Well, we are going to investigate this. The investigation isn't over. We've contained it to the point, that we have taken him off of the street and any potential that he may have to cause harm, but we are not done with the investigation.
They're in the room where the materials found, like in the closet or under the bed? Or...
No, I don't know that information, just that they were in the room.
Chief, where do you know where he got the materials from? Do you have any idea whether he got them from mail order, purchased them somewhere?
No, I don't have that specific information, but as everyone knows, you can use day-to-day items, household items, in the construction of explosive devices, acid bombs, those types of things. So there wasn't anything that was recovered in his room that had to be obtained illegally.
Can you say what the materials were? Give us an indication.
No, well, as I said before, there was the accelerant, there was the plastic tubing, there were timing devices in there. So that information, and we called in, as I stated before, the experts, our bomb team, and they indicated that in fact he could construct explosive devices from the materials.
What was the accelerant? Can you describe what the material itself was?
No.
Could it be possible that he's mentally unstable, that there's some type of a psychological situation that he has?
Well, we haven't gotten that deep, and we're not in the business of diagnosing the mental health of individuals. We're in the business of keeping the city safe, and that's what we did.
Was there something in there that indicated in the manifesto that he had in a year and a half? Some sort of grudge against the people that...
I think that's safe to say. The two individuals that were targeted, that, yes, he had some ill feelings towards those individuals. I think that's safe to say.
Without quoting it exactly, can you tell me what it is that leads you to believe that he held that what was written?
No, just information that was within that manifesto.
You're convinced that there was nobody else involved in this case that you know of, and that the school will be safe when kids go back next?
Yes, the school will be safe when kids go back next week, and there was no indication that there was anyone else that was actively involved with Jared Cano.
In an abundance of caution, will you have additional police patrols on your land?
In abundance of caution, we have additional police officers on duty at every school in the city of Tampa on the first day back, mostly associated with traffic issues, but we're there to ensure that the kids are safe.
Your school doesn't start until 7 o'clock, so if you plan to start at 5, you know if you plan to hide somewhere on campus and...
No, I'm not going to go into those details. That's just when the timeline began at 5
Was he
a.m.
planning to use firearms in a Columbine-esque type of situation?
No, I'm not going to discuss that. As I stated before, we did not find firearms in the apartment.
Now, you said there was no active participation by anyone else. Was there inactive participation by anyone else?
No, there's no indication that anybody else was involved in this incident here.
What do we know about his grade? Was he a committed student while he was studying at Freedom High School?
That I don't know.
Is there any indication on how long this had been in the works?
No, I don't know the information on that either.
Did the manifesto mention how long?
There was mention of causing injuries or surpassing the number of casualties that occurred at Columbine.
And you mentioned 30 students, 30 specific students? Or
No, not specific. There were no specific students named. I think it was more the goal of either meeting or surpassing that number.
And is there any indication why now, after being out of school for a year and a half?
No, we haven't gotten to, again, this began yesterday at noon, and the officers, in cooperation with the Hillsborough County school system, did a fantastic job very quickly of tracking this information down, getting him off of the street, and taking into custody all of those materials that he had at his
What did his
house.
parents
So it's
do when
ongoing.
They learned about the manifesto and about the plot.
All I can tell you about his family is that they've been cooperative with the police department.
What about him?
You know, I don't know either way. If he was, I know that he didn't provide a statement. So if that's your definition of cooperation, there's a lot of individuals that are arrested that don't provide statements, but he refused to provide a statement. All right.
What's the home with it? Is it just parents and siblings, or?
No, I'm not going to go into the family dynamics other than what I've stated before, is that they have been very cooperative with us. All right, this is ongoing. I appreciate everyone's attention to this. Thank you.
That's it.